The demonic aura surged, nearly covering the entire sky above the vast desert, even affecting the western mystery region. Beneath this endless demonic aura, the demonic statue seemed like a destroyer from another realm. The extreme evil fluctuations it emitted made the allied forces pale with fear. Lin Dong and the others looked grim as they watched this scene, then suddenly turned their heads to the distant sky. There, the space suddenly shattered, and an unsettling demonic aura swept out. Within this aura, a pale, enormous arm faintly appeared. The hand of the demon emperor? Upon seeing the giant, pale arm, Xun'er and the Lord of Life and Death, among others, immediately narrowed their eyes. The hand was unusually pale, even seeming somewhat fragile, but beneath this strange frailty, there was an eerie aura that sent a chill down one's spine. This was the arm of the demon emperor, the one who once forced the ancestral Talisman master to burn the cycle of reincarnation. At the time of the final sealing, the arm of the alien demon emperor was probably not only severed by my master, but more likely, it was secretly left behind as a backup plan. Xun'er gripped her jade hand tightly and said slowly. The other's pupils contracted, a trace of horror creeping in. Truly, the demon emperor was worthy of his title. Even in the final moments, he managed to leave a hidden hand for a future reversal. The heavenly king looked at the approaching hand of the demon emperor with fervent eyes, bowing in respect. Then, with a change of his hand seal, the demonic hand swept forward, finally connecting with the statue of the demon emperor. Buzz. As the hand connected with the statue, the enormous figure of the demon emperor emitted a sharp, buzzing sound, and the overwhelming demonic aura surged outward. Faintly, a terrifying, indescribable fluctuation began to slowly take shape. That fluctuation had the unmistakable aura of the alien demon emperor. On the statue, the closed evil eyes began to open rapidly, filled with ruthlessness and brutality, as if they were about to destroy the world. Ha ha ha. The heavenly king laughed to the sky, his voice filled with pride. Once the demon emperor's statue is completed, you will be nothing but ants. Ha ha ha. This world will ultimately fall into our hands, and what my emperor failed to accomplish back then, I will now accomplish. You are celebrating too early. A terrifying cold energy exploded at this moment. From the sky, waves of ice spread out at an incredible speed, freezing the surging demonic aura in place. Xun'er gripped her frost spear, her eyes flashing with cold light. Then, her body shot forward, heading straight for the heavenly king. The cold energy gathered at the tip of her spear seemed capable of freezing time itself. Ha ha ha, Ice Lord, it's useless to try anything now. The heavenly king laughed heartily, but he showed no intention of fighting Xun'er. With a sudden movement, demonic energy erupted around him, and he retreated into the massive form of the demon emperor's statue. The two fused together in a strange way. Boom. As the heavenly king merged with the statue, the monstrous figure of the demon emperor swelled even larger. The clouds below it seemed to tremble, and countless demonic arms waved as if to tear the heavens apart. Haha, now I possess a power that is as close as possible to my emperor's. How can you contend with me? The demon emperor's statue laughed wildly, its voice like thunder, shaking the heavens and earth. 9-layered ice mountain prison. Xun'er formed a seal with her jade hand and cried out coldly. Above the sky, cold energy gathered rapidly, forming 9 towering ice mountains that seemed endless. They descended with immense force to suppress the demon emperor's statue. Ha ha ha. Yet, in response to Xun'er's full-force attack, the demon emperor's statue sneered and casually swung a demonic arm. The resulting magic energy sent the ice mountains crashing. Boom. The sky trembled as the enormous ice mountains were shattered by a single blow. Xun'er's body shook slightly, then quickly retreated, frowning as she watched the towering figure of the demon emperor's statue. At this point, it truly possessed strength nearly equal to that of the alien demon emperor. What do we do? The Lord of Life and Death and the others gathered around, asking in a deep voice. The situation had clearly caught them off guard. To possess the power of the alien demon emperor, It's not something that can be achieved with these methods, Xun'er said, staring at the Demon Emperor statue. If it were that simple to gain such power through fusion, it would greatly underestimate the might of the Demon Emperor. They have indeed gained great strength through this method, but it's unstable, and the Heavenly King can't control it. As long as we can hold them off, the Demon Emperor's statue will likely collapse on its own before long. The Lord of Life and Death and the others nodded upon hearing this, but their brows soon furrowed. The power of the statue of the Demon Emperor was such that even Xun'er could not stop it. Now, even if they joined forces, it was uncertain whether they could hold it back. There's no other choice now. If we can destroy the statue of the Demon Emperor, then this world will finally be at peace. That would be our true victory, Xun'er said softly, glancing at Lindong, who had remained silent behind them. Her cold, jade-like hand involuntarily tightened into a fist. We don't have much time. While the Heavenly King Palace is still unfamiliar with the power of the statue, I'll bind it. You all should summon every bit of power and attack. Xun'er suppressed the turmoil in her heart, then said no more. Her feet pressed against the ground, and a surge of cold air gathered around her, forming an ice lotus as she sat down in a meditative posture. The temperature in the world around them suddenly dropped, and even the swirling primordial energy became stiff and sluggish. Realm of Lotus Life. Xun'er lightly touched the tips of her fingers, and bright crimson blood shot out in streaks, falling to the ground. The earth below immediately froze over, and countless giant ice lotuses sprouted. From within these ice lotuses, massive vines, like dragons, roared as they surged forward, wrapping tightly around the statue of the Demon Emperor. Roar! The statue of the Demon Emperor struggled, its enormous vines snapping in an instant. But soon, more vines surged forward. The terrifying cold energy seeped into the statue, slowing its movements. The Lord of Life and Death and the others, seeing this, dared not waste any time. Their gazes shifted to Lindong, and they said in a low voice, Lindong, summon the ancient cosmic formation. Let all the elite forces of the allied army join forces, infuse their primordial energy into the formation, and attack together with us. Lindong, fully aware of the urgency of the situation, didn't hesitate. With a thought, the ancient cosmic formation expanded rapidly, enveloping the heavens and the earth. All allied forces, listen up. Immediately pour all your primordial energy into the ancient cosmic formation. Those at the reincarnation stage, join us in the assault. The fate of this battle lies in this moment. The youthful yet heavy voice of the Lord of Life and Death echoed through the air, and the countless powerful warriors of the allied forces immediately clenched their fists and responded in unison. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figures soared into the air, appearing behind Lindong and the others. They were all elites at the reincarnation stage. However, even their peak powers seemed insignificant when facing the colossal statue of the Demon Emperor. Below them, the allied forces sat down in meditation. Primordial energy surged like an ocean, transforming into streams of light that poured into the ancient cosmic formation above. Let's do this. The Lord of Life and Death issued a deep command, then closed her eyes. The black and white power of life and death howled around her. Flame Lord, Thunder Lord, Dark Lord, and the others also shut their eyes, pushing their powers to the limit. Big Brother. Little Yin and the others approached Lindong, their eyes full of concern as they gazed at the statue of the Demon Emperor. Don't worry. Whatever happens, at least we'll give it our all, Lindong said, offering them a reassuring smile. Aren't you worried? Ling Qingzhu's figure gracefully approached, her clear eyes quietly fixed on Lindong. She had seen everything that had happened, and although Lindong seemed calm on the surface, she knew his heart must be far from peaceful. I'm fine. Feeling Ling Qingzhu's soft yet concerned gaze, Lindong's heart warmed slightly. He shook his head gently, then turned to Little Yin, Qing Tan, Little Mink, and the others. Let's join in too. If we fail this time, this world might be finished. Everyone nodded solemnly, their eyes filled with determination. There was no turning back now. Little Yin let out a low growl, and with a burst of purple-golden light, his body rapidly expanded, quickly transforming into a towering giant. But compared to the statue of the Demon Emperor, he still seemed relatively small. Let's give it our all. This life. You helped me reclaim it all those years ago. I've lived this long. Consider it enough. Little Mink said as he clapped Lin Dong's shoulder, a rare, gentle smile appearing on his handsome face. He looked at Lin Dong, remembering how, years ago, a frail young boy with a spirit that could vanish at any moment, along with a silly tiger, began a long journey of trials, living and dying. Who could have imagined that they would end up at this height? Don't worry. I won't let any of you die so easily, Lin Dong said softly. I believe in you. Little Mink smiled faintly, then hugged Lin Dong tightly. The purple-black light surged from within Little Mink's body, and its enormous bat wings spread wide. It soared into the air, its power pushed to its limit. Whoosh! Lin Dong watched Little Mink's figure with a faint smile, then he crossed his legs midair and sat down. His hands formed a seal, and a strange wave of energy rapidly spread out. As it did, the land within hundreds of thousands of miles below began to wither and turn barren. The once great wilderness scripture now began to show its terrifying power. Desolation spread at an astonishing speed from the desert below. The dark-colored land began to take on a dull yellow hue. Now, when Lin Dong used the great wilderness scripture, it was no longer just about absorbing the energy from the surface of the earth. This energy sank deep into the ground, and he drew it out like a giant whale sucking in water. The intense scent of desolation emanated from deep within the earth, eventually spreading over an area of 100,000 miles. If seen from above, the entire desert appeared to be engulfed in it. The earth trembled, and pulses of energy began to radiate outward, converging toward Lin Dong's location. Everyone could feel the terrifying force. Whoosh! Lin Dong looked at the scene, exhaling lightly. His pitch-black eyes were as calm as still water. He smiled gently. This isn't enough yet. Though the range of this absorption nearly reached its limit, the true horror of the great wilderness scripture was not in this. Desolation did not mean the complete stripping of vitality. Within desolation, life still lingered. When spring came, the hidden vitality would explode with greater vigor than before. Desolation could regenerate. A faint realization spread through Lin Dong's heart, and soon, the powerful individuals below sensed that the violent energy in the earth suddenly became gentler. Then, they saw small, green shoots emerging from the yellowed earth. These tender sprouts grew at an astonishing rate, and soon, the entire ground was covered in lush grass. In just a few breaths, the vast desert had transformed into an endless grassland, full of vibrant life. "Lend me your strength again," Lin Dong murmured as he looked down at the seemingly endless grassland. The land began to revert to its desolate state, as terrifying energy, just like the terrifying force Lin Dong had absorbed earlier, began to gather again. Boom! The earth beneath Lin Dong began to collapse. Countless glowing liquid masses erupted from the ground, surging upward at incredible speed. These liquids were condensed from energy compressed to its extreme. The scale of this energy was so immense that even peak reincarnation stage experts would feel a shiver of terror. Whoosh! As the liquid shot up faster and faster, it eventually formed a towering, green water column surging from the earth's depths, with Lin Dong standing at its very top. Lin Dong's expression grew solemn. His arms began to liquefy, and he clasped his hands together. A giant bow slowly took form in his hands. However, this time, the bow was extremely ancient in appearance, with no glow or brilliance. Yet, it radiated a terrifying, restrained force. Lin Dong's liquid-like palms slowly drew the bowstring back, and a sharp, piercing sound rang out, seemingly echoing across the heavens and earth. The enormous energy column of liquid surged upward like a water dragon, and finally, within the bowstring, it transformed into a long, green arrow. 3 ancient ancestral talismans rose from Lin Dong's palms, intertwining and rushing into the arrow. Immediately, the arrow's color became dazzling. Buzz! A divine light bloomed from the center of Lin Dong's forehead. and the spiritual power from within the divine palace surged out, merging with the long arrow. Roar! Hundreds of thousands of purple-gold dragon patterns howled as they shot into the arrow. A warm white light erupted, transforming into an ancient talisman master. The ancestral stone began to vibrate, and gentle, pure energy flowed into the arrow. The great wilderness monument and Xun'er palace followed suit, waves of energy pouring into the long arrow. Crack! The space around Lindong began to shatter. Even the hand holding the bowstring was continuously cracking apart. If his arms had not turned into ancestral talisman hands, they would have been torn apart by the overwhelming energy. This arrow contained the absolute limit of all the power Lindong could wield. Not far from Lindong, Ling Qingzhu was seated mid-air, her body completely devoid of any primordial energy fluctuations. Only someone of Lindong's strength could vaguely sense that within her inner perception and call, a mysterious force was descending upon them. Buzz! Ling Qingzhu raised her jade-like hand, lightly gripping the air. The space before her began to crack open, and soon, a green-bladed long sword, about 100 feet long, slowly materialized. The sword was enveloped by a mysterious, supreme power that exuded an awe-inspiring aura, making anyone who gazed upon it feel a sense of dread. At the same time, the Lord of Life and Death, the Flame Lord, and others also pushed their powers to the limit. In an instant, terrifying forces began to coalesce in the sky. The intensity of these attacks was such that no one present would dare claim they could withstand them. This was the strongest assault, forged from the combined might of all the powerful beings in this world. Although there was no longer an existence like the ancestral talisman master who could bear the weight of the world single-handedly, when they united their strength, the resulting power was still not to be underestimated. Boom! Boom! The statue of the demon emperor seemed to sense the terrifying onslaught gathering in the heavens and earth, its struggles growing much more violent. The cold ice vines that had wrapped around it like a giant dragon were quickly shattered by its immense force. Huan gritted her teeth, her eyes gleaming with crystal light as her inner power surged to its peak. At this moment, she could not allow the statue of the demon emperor to break free. However, the power of the statue now far exceeded Huan's, and despite her best efforts to restrain it, she gradually began to feel her strength wane as time passed. "I won't let you through." Huan fixed her gaze on the struggling statue, which was shattering space with every movement. Her voice was filled with an unwavering coldness and determination. She then lightly bit her tongue, and a stream of crimson blood erupted from her, quickly transforming into a massive blood-red ice dragon in the frigid air. The dragon coiled around the statue, tightly binding its legs. As this technique unfolded, Huan's face paled slightly, a clear sign of the immense energy it cost her. But fortunately, her delay had bought crucial time. When the blood-red ice dragon was shattered by the statue's force, the sky behind them was filled with countless attacks, all prepared to strike. Huan looked towards the group of powerful figures floating in the air. Their faces were filled with fervor, their spirits resolute despite knowing the danger they faced. At this moment, relying on their own strength to protect what they cherished seemed to give their wills even greater clarity. This time, without the master, let us protect it ourselves. Huan rose from her ice lotus, then slightly tilted her head, her crystal-clear gaze fixed on a slender figure at the front. A wave of emotion, unlike anything she had felt in many years, surged in her heart. In the past, protecting something had been a task she was compelled to complete. But now, she too wanted to protect something willingly. Therefore, this world could not be allowed to fall into ruin by their hands. Her lips curved ever so slightly in a cold, determined smile. She raised her jade hand, and a bead of crystal-like light gathered at her fingertip. In an instant, it expanded, transforming into a massive ice lotus. Within the lotus, faint bloodstains spread, and the strange sound of a heartbeat could be heard from the lotus core. "Go!" Her voice softened as she spoke, and the ice lotus darted forward. Boom! As her voice fell, the heavens seemed to tremble. Behind them, countless attacks, powered by everyone's ultimate strength, streaked through the sky like a swarm of meteors, roaring as they slammed into the statue of the demon emperor. Ling Qingzhu's jade-like finger gently pointed, and the giant sword formed from the mysterious supreme power soared out, its speed like lightning as it pierced toward the statue. Roar! Little Yin let out a thunderous roar, and a purple-gold fist of light shot forth, resembling a ferocious tiger charging through the sky. A massive crescent moon, dozens of miles long, shot out from Little Mink's hands. The Lord of Life and Death, the Flame Lord, and the others also bellowed, their maximum attacks tearing through the sky and sweeping across the heavens. Kill! In the sky, within the ancient cosmic formation, an ancient voice seemed to resonate as the formation spun violently. A giant, ancient hand, nearly large enough to cover the entire desert, reached out, shattering the void and striking down toward the statue of the demon emperor. Buzz. Hearing the sound of the earth-shattering battle, Lin Dong, whose heart had been racing, finally began to calm. His gaze was fixed on the statue of the demon emperor, and with a slow release of tension, the bowstring he had been holding snapped loose. Like a stone sinking into a deep pond, ripples spread outward, and Lin Dong's liquid-like arms suddenly erupted, tearing apart. A simple, ancient long arrow trembled as it shot forward. There was no astonishing speed, no overwhelming power, and the quivering flight made one question whether it could even hit its target. Yet, despite its ordinary appearance, this long arrow became the most conspicuous among the terrifying storm of attacks. As the arrow flew, all the incoming assaults subtly parted, creating a direct path toward the statue of the demon emperor. Whoosh! The long arrow caught up with the ice lotus in front, and a sword cry followed, as a 100-foot-long blue arrow trailed behind it. With the terrifying onslaught from behind, the combined forces landed squarely on the massive statue of the demon emperor. At that moment, the heavens and earth shifted in color. Countless brilliant attacks, like a shower of meteors, streaked across the sky and then crashed into the immense statue of the demon emperor. In an instant, the world seemed to crack apart. Boom, boom. Fearsome energy ripples swept out like a storm, tearing apart the space within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. The desert below was shaken as waves of sand, towering for miles, spread out, and the entire deathly Xian desert was displaced. The Allied forces were thrown into disarray. Numerous powerful warriors were sent flying, and the battle formations collapsed. Yet, at this point, no one cared about that. The power needed to strike down the statue of the demon emperor wasn't something that numbers alone could counter. In the sky, Ing Huan, Lin Dong, and the others were all violently shaken back hundreds of feet by the surge of energy. Some of the peak experts who had entered the reincarnation stage couldn't help but spurt blood. That scene was truly spectacular. But they had no time to pay attention to that now. Their eyes were fixed on the center of the desert, where the chaotic energy had distorted the space, making it impossible to see what was happening within. The distorted space lasted for 10 minutes before gradually fading amid the swirling yellow sand, and everyone's gaze immediately turned toward the area. As the space gradually returned to normal, a massive shadow, boundless and imposing, slowly emerged and became clearer. The statue of the demon emperor stood tall between heaven and earth, like a harbinger of destruction from another world. How is it still unharmed? As the vision cleared, countless shocked voices erupted. The powerful warriors of the Alliance stared in terror at the near-undamaged statue of the demon emperor, their faces turning pale. The combined might of their strongest attacks had failed to leave a single scratch on the statue? How is this possible? Little Yin cried out in disbelief. Though terrifying, the statue of the demon emperor shouldn't be able to ignore their attacks completely, right? Lin Dong narrowed his eyes, staring intently at the statue, then shook his head slightly. The attacks were indeed absorbed by it forcefully, but that doesn't mean they didn't cause any damage. Crack. Just as Lin Dong's words fell, a faint cracking sound echoed throughout the air, and the crowd watched in shock as a tiny crack appeared on the massive form of the statue of the demon emperor. Crack, crack, crack. Once the first crack appeared, It triggered a chain reaction, and countless other cracks spread across the statue, eventually covering nearly half of its colossal body. Sizz! A violent, almost destructive light burst forth from the cracks, and everyone could feel the terrifying energy gathered within the statue's body. But it was clear that the statue of the Demon Emperor could no longer contain this energy. Did we win? The Alliance's warriors stared blankly at the scene, their eyes somewhat dazed. Shouldn't this mean they had won? The statue of the Demon Emperor now resembled a bomb, unable to continue its offensive. Lin Dong furrowed his brows, observing the scene. It seemed that the statue had intentionally absorbed all their attacks, causing the energy within it to surge to a terrifying degree. At this point, even the Heavenly King Hall wouldn't be able to control it. This was clearly a self-destructive path. But was the Heavenly King Hall really that foolish? Is it trying to take us all down with it? Qingzhong came to Lin Dong's side and whispered. The energy at that level, if it exploded, would likely destroy half of the Western Mystery region, and those who could escape would be few. Lin Dong's eyes flickered, his expression turning solemn. Lin Dong, we are always ready to activate the power of space. The Lord of Space's gaze shifted over, and he spoke in a deep voice. Clearly, he had also realized the urgency of the situation. At this point, it was too late for everyone to escape. Only the two of them, with control over space, could protect some of the group and help them escape in an instant. However, it was still quite limited. After all, even with their combined powers, they could not instantly transport everyone outside the Western Mystery region. Doing so would still cause heavy losses. But now, there seemed to be little other choice. Lin Dong nodded, letting out a faint sigh in his heart. All he could do was try his best. Ying Huanhuan stood at the front, her crystalline eyes locked on the Demon Emperor statue, which was covered in cracks and seemed like the most terrifying destructive bomb in the world. Her crescent-shaped eyebrows furrowed slightly, and a sense of unease surged in her heart. "Heavenly King, is this your last resort?" she said coldly. "As I mentioned before, as long as we can eliminate you from this world and bring peace to the heavens, no matter the cost, it will be worth it. You've lost in the end." Heh. As Ying Huanhuan's words fell, a deep laugh emanated from the Demon Emperor statue. The laugh contained a hint of madness and a feverish anticipation that had long been waiting. A glow flickered at the center of the statue's forehead, and the figure of the Heavenly King slowly emerged, half of his body exposed, his hair disheveled as he looked at Ying Huanhuan and the others. The smile on his face was eerily strange. "Ice Lord, do you really think you have one? Then what else can you do? If you move now, you'll probably self-destruct, won't you?" Ying Huanhuan replied calmly. Yes, you're right. I really can't do much now." The Heavenly King chuckled. "Because of the seal placed on the dimensional rift by the Ancestral Talisman Master, we, the alien demons trapped in this world, are like prisoners here. I knew from the beginning that we would eventually lose. After all, this is your battleground. So, to turn the situation around, there is only one way." Ying Huanhuan, Lin Dong, and the others' pupils contracted slightly, their unease growing stronger. "And that is..." The Heavenly King's expression grew increasingly fanatical as he tilted his head, his eyes seemingly piercing through the heavens. "Destroy the seal on the dimensional rift, and let my kind truly enter this world. The dimensional rift was created when my master burned through the cycle of reincarnation. Not even you, let alone the alien Demon Emperor, can break it. To think you could destroy it is nothing but a fool's dream." The Lord of Life and Death mocked. "You're right, it's impossible for us alone to shake the dimensional seal. That's why I need to use your power," the Heavenly King cackled, pointing at the cracked Demon Emperor statue. The destructive force emanating from it sent chills down their spines. Within this statue, not only is the power of all the demon prison forces gathered, but also the power of all of you. I think this should be enough. The Heavenly King's laughter suddenly grew loud and maniacal. "Haha, this entire plan owes its success to you. If not for you, this plan would never have come to fruition." Countless faces turned pale as the realization dawned on them. They now understood that the Heavenly King had never intended to face them in a final battle. From the beginning, he had been prepared to die, using them as a means to shake the dimensional seal. Once the seal was broken, the alien demons would truly flood into the world. The ancient heavenly war would return, and while they had the ancestral Talisman master to turn the tide back then, without him now, they had no hope of defending this world from the alien demon invasion. Even with the composure of Lin Dong, the Lord of Life and Death, and the others, a look of horror flashed in their eyes as they realized the magnitude of the situation. Now, let's witness the most spectacular scene of the past few thousand years. The Heavenly King laughed wildly, and everyone could see the light on the massive body of the Demon Emperor statue growing increasingly violent. It seemed the statue itself could no longer withstand it. Seeing this, Huan's jade hand clenched tightly, an astonishing coldness spreading from her body. Then, her slender figure shot forward violently. Her crystalline eyes now glowed with a hint of crimson, and suddenly, blood mist erupted from her body, enveloping the heavens and earth. Great world of ice! The cold, blood-laden mist spread rapidly, surrounding the statue. The prison took shape, and ancient runes began to emerge, maximizing the sealing power. At this moment, if the demonic figure could be contained, that destructive force would erupt, even if it meant devastating the Western Mystery region. It was still infinitely better than the consequences of a weakened dimensional seal. Haha, do you still think you can stop me? Ice Lord, you are truly naive. Faced with such a final obstacle from Huan, the mad laughter of the Heavenly King burst forth. The ice prison trembled as countless demonic fists struck out, shattering it into a flurry of ice shards. Poof! Huan's face turned pale, and she spat out blood, stumbling back several dozen steps, her soft form now appearing exceptionally fragile. Ha! The Heavenly King laughed heartily. He shifted his hand gesture, causing everyone to sense an overwhelming destructive power surging forth. The cracks on the demonic figure became increasingly pronounced, and ultimately, amidst countless horrified gazes, it erupted completely. Boom! That scene resembled thousands of blazing suns igniting simultaneously, the intense light reaching across the entire Western Mystery region, even visible in the other 3 mystery regions, all able to witness the brilliant glow rising from the Western Mystery region. Whoosh! Curiously, however, that force of destruction did not unleash within the Western Mystery region. Instead, it transformed into a colossal beam of light that shot up into the clouds, piercing the heavens and racing towards the location of the distant dimensional seal. Haha. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you one last thing. My Emperor has already broken free from the Ancestral Talisman Master's seal. Once this dimensional seal is broken, my Emperor will once again descend upon this world. When that time comes, the beings of this world will all become slaves of my kind. Ha. The beam of destruction cut through the sky, and the Heavenly King's final mad laughter thundered across the 4 mystery regions, the Chaos Demon Sea, and the Monster region. Countless people stared upwards, gazing at the vanishing beam of destruction, an overwhelming sense of despair creeping into their hearts. Is the former alien demon emperor about to reappear? In the ancient times, the Ancestral Talisman had stood against him, but now that the Ancestral Talisman was gone, how could this realm withstand such a terrifying presence? As the beam of destruction soared away, the entire world still felt enveloped in the thunderous roar as the Heavenly King met his end, a sound filled with madness and cruelty. In those ancient times, to win the battle of heaven and earth, this realm paid a terrifying price, with countless powerful figures falling. Even the Ancestral Talisman Master burned through the cycle of reincarnation to put an end to that battle. But now, was that scene about to replay? In the vast desert, many people's faces turned ashen as they gazed at the sky. Though they could not see beyond the heavens, they could still faintly feel the taste of despair. They realized that if the alien demon emperor were to descend upon the world, it seemed no one could stop him. Are the countless beings of this realm truly destined to become the wretched slaves of the alien demon clan? The alien demon emperor has actually broken free from his seal. The Lord of Life and Death gazed blankly at the heavens, fear flickering in his eyes. If they had once held confidence in annihilating the forces of the demon prison, now their fighting spirit had nearly diminished completely. All of this was solely due to those 3 words, Alien Demon Emperor. Having experienced the great battle of heaven and earth in ancient times, they were all too aware of the terror embodied by the monarch of demons. Lin Dong watched as countless people fell into despair, his palms clenching tightly. They had always viewed the heavenly king and his allies as their adversaries, unaware that the latter had no intention of engaging them in battle. Their schemes were fervent and frightful, and if they succeeded, victory would be inevitable. For in this world, no one could halt the alien demon emperor's advance. Everyone, there's no need to worry too much. Even if they put forth their utmost effort, breaking the dimensional seal is something my master dedicated himself to. It won't be so simple for them. Just as despair spread among the crowd, a cold voice suddenly rang out. Everyone turned to seeing Huan wiping the blood from her lips, her sparkling eyes gazing towards the heavens. Ing Huan formed hand seals, and frigid air suddenly coalesced in the sky into a colossal ice mirror. This ice mirror was crystal clear, seemingly reflecting the passage of the sun and moon. Gradually, the surface darkened, revealing a dark, void-like realm. The beams of light overlapped, completely concealing everything behind the formation. However, faintly, it seemed that everyone could still see that beyond the formation, there was a massive rift, resembling the mouth of a demon, from which endless evil surged forth. Yet, the ancient formation firmly held it back, preventing any intrusion. Could that be the dimensional seal left by the ancestral Talisman master? The crowd murmured as they gazed at the vast formation in the dark void. Boom! The scene reflected in the light mirror was clearly the one from earlier. Everyone could see a column of destructive light slicing through the dark void, crashing down like 1,000 falling meteors, directly slamming into the ancient formation. Buzz! Even though they were at an immense distance, at the moment of impact, everyone could feel the very heavens and earth tremble slightly. The primordial energy in the air seemed to dissipate and scatter. All eyes were fixed on the ancient formation, their hearts in their throats. Their only hope now rested on the seal left by the ancestral Talisman master. If this seal were broken, the world would fall into misery. Everyone could see that with the impact of the destructive light column, a massive energy ripple, hundreds of thousands of feet wide, surged from the seal like a storm. At that moment, the seal erupted with an ancient light, which seemed to transform into an endless, old radiance. The radiance took the form of a colossal, unseen hand, sweeping over and silently dissipating the destructive wave. Master! The Lord of Life and Death and the others looked at the ancient radiance, their expressions faltering as they murmured. Destructive waves continuously struck, only to be blocked by the radiance. It seemed as though the two forces were locked in a deadlock. Everyone was on edge, staring at the standstill, their palms drenched in cold sweat without realizing it. Lin Dong, too, stared unwaveringly at the scene reflected in the ice mirror. He was no stranger to this place. When he refined the space ancestral talisman, he had been here before, and he had personally experienced the terrifying power of this seal formation. Although the demon statue's self-destruction was equally terrifying, breaking the seal so easily seemed impossible. This deadlock lasted for quite a while. Then, the crowd saw the destructive light column gradually weaken. Clearly, its power had been nearly exhausted. A deafening cheer erupted from the vast desert. Indeed, though the Heavenly King had used all his means, breaking the ancestral talisman seal was no easy feat. No matter what, the Heavenly King's forces could never compare to the ancestral talisman master. Lin Dong, hearing the earth-shattering cheers, did not relax in the slightest. He kept his gaze fixed on the ancient radiance above the seal, and unease began to rise within him. What was this feeling of unease? Lin Dong raised his head and glanced at Ing Huan. She seemed to be gripping her jade hand tightly, her face filled with cold solemnity. Boom! Just as Lin Dong's unease grew, the dimensional seal suddenly trembled violently. A blurry, ominous shadow appeared behind it, exuding an evil so intense that it seemed to corrupt everything. Whoosh! The seal shook more violently, and then, suddenly, a thin black beam shot out from behind the seal, piercing through the forehead of the ancestral Talisman master's radiance. The cheers immediately stopped. Countless people stared blankly at the seemingly insignificant attack, confusion in their eyes. Where did this attack come from? How could it penetrate the dimensional seal? Alien Demon Emperor. Xun'er gritted her silver teeth, and cold, icy energy poured from her body. The Lord of Life and Death and the others' faces turned pale as well. From the earlier attack, they had sensed a familiar aura, one that belonged to the alien Demon Emperor. Lin Dong, too, was stunned as he watched this unfold. With the gap created by the Heavenly King's forces, they had suddenly launched an attack from both inside and outside, attempting to break the dimensional seal. The Heavenly King's forces must have realized from the beginning that they couldn't destroy the dimensional seal. To achieve their goal, they needed the power of the alien Demon Emperor. The real purpose of their actions was to create a gap, causing the seal to tremble, giving the alien Demon Emperor a chance to strike. But how could they seize this moment so perfectly? Lin Dong suddenly trembled. Could it be the Demon Emperor's hand at work? Perhaps the alien Demon Emperor had planned for this day, even when he was sealed away thousands of years ago. That's why he severed his own arm, to use it as an internal agent, waiting for the day of counterattack? Such a scheme, this deep. He had even anticipated the timing thousands of years later. Lin Dong's body shuddered. Just how terrifying was this enemy? Alien Demon. The coalition's countless powerful warriors gazed in horror at the ice mirror, where the ancient light and shadow gradually faded. Clearly, the small black beam that had pierced through earlier had shattered the perfect balance of the seal. Master Ancestral Talisman. Countless strong warriors, unable to hold back, knelt down as they watched the ancient light and shadow fading. Their cries of despair echoed through the heavens and earth. If even this final defense was broken, the world would be completely exposed to the gaze of the alien demon forces. Lin Dong heard the screams filled with hopelessness and fear, a feeling as if the very heavens and earth were about to perish. In the sky, Xun'er tightly clenched her jade-like hand, her silver teeth biting her red lips, a trace of blood even seeping out. The Lord of Life and Death and the others also had pale faces. The ancient light and shadow grew weaker, and just as it was about to vanish, a feeling seemed to appear in its hollow eyes. It looked towards the ice mirror, and a smile unexpectedly appeared on its ancient face. Do not despair. The ancient voice, as if coming from beyond the heavens, slowly echoed throughout the world. Countless people trembled and looked up in shock, gazing at the ice mirror. Master! The Lord of Life and Death and the others, also astonished, immediately knelt down. Xun'er lifted her delicate face, staring blankly at the fading light and shadow. My disciples, the alien demon emperor has left a trump card, and so do I. That card is you. In this battle of the heavens and earth, I believe you can protect what you wish to protect. The light and shadow's gaze seemed to pierce through time and space, 凝凝聚在了Xun'er的身上。冰儿，当你真正想要守护时，你将会拥有真正的力量。When you truly desire to protect, you will have the true power. When I first saw you, I already knew the power you held. Hee, this time, it's up to you. Don't blame your teacher for leaving such a heavy burden on you. The ancient light and shadow smiled kindly, and finally, it completely dissipated. Only the imperfect dimensional seal stubbornly remained. Xun'er stared at the fading light and shadow. Tears slid down her delicate face. She gently wiped them away and then smiled at herself. Master, don't worry. I know what to do. She stood in midair, her crystal-clear hair dancing in the wind.